Hello everyone, my name is Jen. Welcome to my channel. This is my little corner of the internet where I share the things, the crafty things that I've been getting up to. So today I believe is October the 7th, 2024, and it's been, I don't know, I think 6 weeks since I've been on here last to give an update. So, yeah, it's been busy. I've been trying to get back here, but my husband and I are doing lots of stuff to the house, and now the push is on to get the things done that need to be done before the cold weather sets in. So today I had a little sneaky chance to get in here and film an update. So I've got lots to share today. I've got cross stitch and a little bit of crochet, some quilting, some wool applique. So I'm hoping to jump into that, and I hope this isn't going to be too long of a video. We've been having a really lovely autumn. It's been so warm that it hasn't even felt like autumn except for the leaves changing. That's kind of been the only marker, but the weather's been so great. And I had my first pumpkin spice latte of the season just 2 days ago. And you know what? It's going to be my last. So I'm breaking up with Starbucks. It just wasn't good. And I don't like going to Starbucks because you have to wait forever. And yeah, I just don't like it. So that was my last pumpkin spice latte of the season. I'm sure you wanted to know. But there's a lot of really lovely independent coffee shops around where we are that, you know, offer seasonal drinks. And my husband makes a really mean latte too. So I'm covered. I can live without the PSL. Let's see. I have to wear my glasses today because I have a lot of notes and I can't see them without it. So I hope the glare off the glasses isn't too bad. But like I said, I do have a lot to share, so I just want to jump into it after I say welcome. So thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you for those who commented on my last video. There were a few of you. I really apologize. I didn't get back to you. You left me a comment and I didn't get back to you for weeks. And at first, I didn't even see it for weeks, and then it just took me longer to respond. So I do apologize for that. I mean, I really, really appreciate your comments. I really do. It's nice to know that I'm not just talking into my screen and not getting any kind of engagement back. So thank you very much. All right, so let's start with cross stitch. I've got 4 or 5 finishes. So the last time I did a video, I had been working on this sampler, and it's called Season Sampler Summer by Madame Chantilly. And yeah, so I stitched this one, I changed the fabric, I changed the colors, and I had been commenting that I couldn't, the white doesn't really show up on the fabric that I picked for the alphabet. So this is the finish. And I can't see what you're seeing. Oh, but you can see right through it. So let's try this. So there we go. You can actually see the white alphabet on there, minus the letter Y, which is in the other sampler charts, but not in this one. But anyway, we'll just call that a quirk of the pattern. So I stitched the birds as called for, I think, but everything else I changed the colors. I stitched it on a 32 count light green even weave with the little white dots. And I really like it. So I've had this hanging up on my wall for since I finished it, and now it's time to put that away until next summer. So that was my first finish. I stitched a Halloween ornament for my daughter. In fact, I made a lot of fun stuff for my daughter, but I sent all that stuff off already because I just couldn't seem to sit down to make a video, but I had to get that off to her. So then I finished, so this is an older project. I think I started this in I don't know, the early 2020s I started this project, and then I didn't finish it. So it's called Bouquet for September. It's from Cedar Hill. So a friend gifted this to me several years ago. In 2019, she gifted this to me. And maybe I started it then, I don't know, maybe, or 2020, something like that. I didn't get too far, so I decided that now is as good a time as any to pick that up. And in fact, I worked on this in September because it's called Bouquet for September. And here's my finish. So I believe I used all the called for. It's DMC. I'm pretty sure I did. And it's really sweet. Now what you probably can't see is these are all French knots here. There's some Smyrna crosses within these blue flowers, but you can't really see them, unfortunately. Even when I'm looking at it, like here, I don't really see them. So that's unfortunate, but I do love the colors. I guess the yellow's the only one I changed. It called for an overdyed, which I didn't have, and so I just picked something. But yeah, I thought it's cute. I really like this one. It's too bad that they don't design anymore, or that you can't get these anymore. I think they had them monthly. I really like I think it's December. It's all Christmas greens. That's the other one I really like, but anyway, Bouquet for September. So, and I actually did get that on my wall too. And that was pretty quick. I'm also trying to work on something every morning for half an hour at least. Maybe sometimes, maybe once a week I get 45 minutes, 60 minutes. So I worked on this pretty much, well, I think it only took me 12 days to finish it, but I would work on this in the mornings, and that's how I was able to make some pretty good progress on it. So once I finished this one, and that was my morning stitch, the lights. Fix that. Okay, so then my next morning stitch was, it's called Simply ABC. It's by Jeanette Douglas. This pattern I got at the, I took a class when I went to the Stitch and Stash retreat in Edmonton in 2023. Anyway, so this was the pattern that we got. Now beforehand we had to choose which colorway that we wanted and the fabric that we wanted to use. So I picked the even weave, which is 32 count. All the colorways were beautiful, but I think because it was autumn when I had to make the choice, I picked orange. Normally I'm not an orange fan, but just at that time the orange spoke to me and I said, sure, I'm going to stitch the orange, even though I didn't actually start the project until the end of June the following year. That's when the class was. But it's still really pretty. So it came, the kit came with the silks, and there was more than enough silks to stitch this piece, and in fact I could probably stitch another one. So that was nice. A lot of specialty stitches in this, which I don't love doing because I'm a pretty impatient person, but yeah, I did it. I stuck with it, and I did the specialty stitches. So this is my finish. It's just a tiny little thing, so I don't know, what was I scared of? Yeah, I don't know what I can say. I think it's beautiful. I love it. I did have a bit of trouble reading the chart. The chart was in color, most specifically for the Bargello. Now, the Bargello in mine is completely different from what's charted, and that was my mistake because I had a note next to the section that I took in class, and the note said, start with the light orange lines. So, when I started, I thought, okay, the light orange, I went to the key and it said orange was the color pecan. So I'm, working away. And then I'm doing some other colors and I'm thinking, well, I happened to glance over to the finished picture, and I'm thinking, well, this doesn't look like, there's a lot more white in the finished picture. So I went back to the key. I'm like, yes, the orange is supposed to be pecan. And I kept going back and forth and back and forth. And then I read all the other colors. Well, there's no pale orange in the chart. It's orange and it's yellow. So it's not pale orange, the color I was supposed to start with. It was yellow. And so that changed the entire look of the whole thing. But I thought, you know what? These are silks. And at that point, I wasn't sure, you know, how generous the thread pack would be. So I thought, I'm just going to keep going. It's still, you know, autumnal colors. I'm just going to keep going. And for the most part, I stuck with the rest of the other colors. But I think it looks okay. And you know what? Mine is unique. Nobody else on the entire planet is going to have one that looks just like this. So that helped me out for all the other mistakes that I made later on for the colors. But anyway, I think it turned out pretty well. And I think I will turn it into a bell pull similar to what they have here. I think I'll just do that next time I get my sewing machine out. I mean, unless I happen to find a little frame that it would fit in, that would be cute too. But it was nice to get another project out of the way. So this was also a work in progress that had been sitting around. And then I worked on, and I think this was a new start. I don't know if I started this last year or not. So this is an Forest Embroidery squirrel pattern, and this is the PDF. So I took the DMC colors called for. I took those to my local needlework shop, and I tried to match up with some overdyes because I really like, you know, the look of the Owl Forest house dyed flosses. So I did that. It kind of worked. I mean, he's cute enough, but boy, there's a lot of stitching in this little guy. So I just had, yeah, just different flosses. I couldn't even tell you what I use now. And then I ran out down here. So if you're stitching this, and this is on an 18 count, this is an 18 count Ada, the oatmeal. I used 2 strands over 1 block, but if you're stitching this, you actually need 2 of this color because if you're using overdyes, because I ran out of the overdyed, and then I had to do some blending with some DMCs down at the bottom here. But I think he turned out okay. He's still got a little bit of character, being a little bit different. And I just love the little motifs in his tail and everything. We have a ton of squirrels here, so it's just kind of fun to stitch them. Until they're being a pain in the butt, then I don't want to stitch squirrels. So this is a cute size. I think it would fit in a 5x7 frame. I'm not sure. I have so many frames in the basement, and I feel like every time I pull them out, nothing works for what I've stitched. But I don't want to go buy more frames. So a lot of my stitching then just ends up in a box somewhere. I might pin it to the wall for a month or 2, and then I just put it in a box. But we'll figure it out. But yeah, I thought he was cute. Yeah, I don't think I made any changes to him or her. Okay, so that's it for finishes. So what I've been working on is a lot since I've seen you. So I worked on my geisha a little bit. She had been my morning stitch for, you know, some parts of the summer. So she's from this book, and this is the one that I'm working on. So I just did a little bit more down here. Maybe I did the lighter pink, but I've since put her away. I haven't been working on her because then I wanted to work on fall projects. So I kind of put her away for a while, and hopefully she'll come back out sometime in the new year after all the holiday stitching is done. And I also worked on, this was a popular project. A lot of you really like this one. So this is it's swallows, so Hirondelle, Le Bal des Hirondelles, and this is from a French magazine. That was the one that I'm stitching. There's a better picture of it. I'm stitching mine on a hand-dyed blue Ada. I don't know if this is hand-dyed by me or not, but so I did make some pretty good progress on this before I put it away, but look how gorgeous that looks on the fabric. I'm just in love. So I think maybe last time maybe I just had this branch done. And I should have just finished the entire bird before I put it away, but anyway, this was lovely to work on, and I love the way that it pops on the fabric. I think it's very pretty. I think the whole thing is just going to be gorgeous when it's finished. But I have put it away for the season just because I've been wanting to work on autumn pieces. Now that I'm in the mood for it. I totally wasn't in the mood for it last time. And I was complaining about the all the Halloween stuff in the stores when it was still summertime. And now I'm complaining about all the Christmas stuff that's in the stores when I feel like autumn just started. But anyway, that's just me. My husband figures in about 2 years' time that the Christmas stuff will be out at Christmas time, but it'll be 2 years ahead, but at least it'll be out at Christmas. So I don't know, things to look forward to, I guess. Let's see, I also worked on, so this is a fall piece, and I started this a couple years ago too. So Frolic in the Foliage from Blue Ribbon Designs. So I've been working on this, but I haven't been focusing on this, and I doubt I will do too much more on this before I stop stitching on autumn pieces. So all I did with this one is I finished the words, and then I started outlining the boxes. If I do any more on this, it will just be to outline the rest of the boxes, and then that way the next time that I go to work on this, I can just jump in and start working on what's inside the boxes, which is a lot of cute little autumn motifs. Now I had considered cutting it off, but I don't know, I like the whole thing. And such lovely colors too. And I'm just using the DMC for this one. And maybe for the leaves I'll use a variegated or something, you know, just to jazz it up a little bit, but that is that project. And then I'm working on, so I brought my Halloween Ahokran Hollow out because I really love this and I don't work on it. I was trying to work on it a week a month and that just wasn't working, so I put it away and it's just been sitting there for, I don't know, 9 months now. So I'm going to try to do the same rotation a lot of people do with their Halloween pieces, which is to work on it on the 13th and the 30th of the month, and the months that have 31 days also on the 31st. So I worked on this block. I've completed this block except for the back stitching. So I started this block on the 3rd. And what I like about these is when you sit down and work on it, I mean, you really make some progress. So this was, I think this was just one night of stitching. That's a lot. So that's encouraging. And then if I can just keep it under my nose and see it on those days and write it in my agenda that I need to work on those, then like I will make progress on this. It'll be years, but at least, you know, progress is progress. So that's where we are for that guy. And I think that's it for, yes, that's it. So now that I have ABC finished, I need a new morning project. So I've got a toss up between these two projects, and both of them hardly have any starts. So I'm not quite sure which one I'm due yet. They're both on Ada. One's a blackwork, mostly blackwork project, and one's just stitching. So this one is called Sampler de Tonio. And, oh, well, I just call it Acorn Sampler, but I'm sure it's Autumn Sampler in Italian. So I started this maybe last year. I dyed some fabric for it. I'm probably not going to stitch the whole border. I've started with the little lodge house here, so I will stitch all of this and then maybe I'll stitch the bottom border. It's really sweet, but it would just make it really big. But I mean, that's so far in the future when I'm going to get there, because this is only where I am at the moment. Just the first gable done. So this is a contender for morning stitch, or this is a contender for morning stitch. So this is a kit from Bothy Threads. Seasons Panels, Autumn. There's a whole series of these, and I'm still kind of kicking myself for not getting them when I had the chance. But I did buy the Autumn one. So I got this from Arts and Designs out of Scotland, and they used to offer free shipping. Yeah, they used to offer free shipping for worldwide. I don't think they do anymore. I'm surprised they could for as long as they did. But yeah, so it's a lot of black work. It's mostly black work, a little bit of cross stitch, like these blackberries and the other berries. Those are cross stitch. But I love the colors. Very pretty, seasonal. This is stitched on 14 count Ada, and again, I don't have much of a start on this guy. That's all I've done, and I can't even remember if I started this last year or the year before, but I thought that would be, you know, something else that I could work on in the morning and just make some progress. I'm trying to be a little bit better about not jumping around from so many projects. It's just hard because in the fall you just want to, I want to start all of the things, and I mean all of the things. Now I did finish 2 older works in progress, so that lets me have a new start. And so I decided I wanted to do a Halloween piece, and this is a designer who's on Etsy. It's her company name is Haunted Frames. Amanda Elliott is the designer. So here's the information, and these are so cute. So this is the Book of Psychic Reading, and I love all the pinks. So here's the mock-up, and this is a bigger picture. So it uses 4 colors, white, black, 2 shades of pink. I mean, you could so easily change out the pinks to any 2 shades of any other color, and I think it would still be gorgeous. I'm going to stitch mine on this 32 count something, vintage something, stormy something, I don't know. Anyway, this was in my stash, so I'm going to stitch it on this. I think it'll be really effective with the pinks, and these are the pinks. So it's DMC 605 and DMC 601. So nice and bright there. I know the quilt is distracting behind you, but so yeah, this is what I'm going to be working on at night, and I'm hoping I can get that finished by the end of October. We'll see. So that will be on the docket for that. So that's it. That's it for cross stitch. Those are my finishes and my works in progress and my plans. So yeah, that's it for cross stitch. So if that's all you're interested in, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you later. Okay, crochet, like I said, I made a bunch of fun things. I made some socks, and I made a little pumpkin garland. What else did I make? I started a mushroom garland. That didn't turn out, but I sent those things to my daughter, so, and I didn't even take pictures for my Instagram because I didn't want her to see them before she gets it, and she was not going to get it till tomorrow anyway. But I did start another project. So again, this is for my daughter for Christmas. So I'm making these granny squares, and the designer of these is Alyssa Creates, and she does have an Instagram, and her patterns are on Etsy, and I will link that below. So I'm doing the celestial granny squares. So there are moons and suns, and so far I've just done the 2 moon blocks. I just wanted to see different weights, and you know, I've got some worsted, I have some DK. So I managed to complete these 2 at my last yarn club, and I think I wasn't sure if I just wanted to make, you know, all the moons the same and then all the suns the same, maybe different. I kind of like the looks of these 2, the 2 different kinds. And then I started a 3rd one with the royal blue in the middle, and I was going to do a light blue around the outside. So I don't know, I have to see. And then I thought it would be fun to use a glow-in-the-dark yarn if there was such a thing, and there is such a thing, but my local Michaels doesn't have it. So I mean, it's not critical. Yeah, so I want to make a tote bag of this. I didn't even look at the pattern to see how many I needed, like how many squares that I need, but each square is 4.5, 5, well, I could block it to 5 inches, so I guess I would just probably do, I don't know, 3 across, 4 down maybe. And then, yeah, I'm gonna make a tote bag. And so I was at the I was at my local quilt shop looking. I needed to get some black fabric for another project, and I found this cute constellation fabric. So I picked up a 1/2 meter of that, and I'm going to use that to line the bag. And then that way it also won't stretch as much if it's got a cotton lining. So I thought that was perfect. Got the same colors and everything. So I thought that would be fun. So I'm also trying to limit my crochet projects to just like 1 or 2 at a time, so I don't have too many project bags full of stuff. But I'm thinking I would like to start a sweater because it's just that kind of season at the moment. Well, it's getting colder, and I'm thinking, you know, if I could start like a nice cozy sweater, that would be nice too. And then plus when you're watching all the makers on YouTube, and there's a lot of knitters and crocheters, and of course they're in full sweater mode too, so it's yeah, it's just kind of inspiring, and think I want one too. And that's it for crochet. So next up, I've been doing some wool applique. I feel like it's been a long time since I've done any of that. I bought this little kit. So I was lucky enough in the beginning of September to go to the Almont Fiber Fest in Elmont, Ontario. So it's about an hour from my house. But I got to meet up with my friend Deb. So we met there, and we walked the hall, and we looked at all the yarn, and we squished the yarn, and we ogled all the lovely things. And I was very happy to see more vendors there selling wool applique things, supplies. Because yeah, it's not that easy to get, I find, where I live. So this was kitted up from a store, and I think it's Upper Canada Quilt Works. I think they were the vendors. So they had kitted up this pattern. It's called Sewing Bliss from All Through the Night. And super cute. And even though I told Debbie that I don't need any more patterns that are sewing themed, but I am just a sucker for anything with a spool thread on it. So I picked this up. It was really cheap too, and I don't know, maybe because the pieces of wool were just so, like, they're really small because it's a small project. I feel like I just paid for the pattern, and the wool pieces were extra. So, but that was nice. But it even came with the buttons. So it came with the wool, the background, which usually doesn't, the buttons, and it came with a piece of ribbon that looks like measuring tape, so I didn't actually have to cut and stitch this out myself. So this is my finished project. And this is a piece of flannel, so it's been picking up absolutely every piece of thread in my sewing room. But this is my finished project. So this took me a day. I cut everything out and I put in the bag, and I started it one day, and I don't know, maybe let's say 3 to 4 hours for this. It's cute. So very pleased with that. I think I might turn this into a project pouch for my wool applique supplies. I thought that would be fun. I went to frame it, but this ribbon is in the way. So I'm thinking maybe project bag. Project pouch, but we'll see. Anyway, it was fun to do. It was very easy, and it's got a lovely memory of a special day with a friend. So. And then I've also been working on, so this project I started, what, 2018, 2019? I mean, if you've been with me for any length of time, you know I've been working on this forever. This is the Thimble Blossoms. It was a block of the month from Buttermilk Basin. I just bought the pattern. I bought the pattern and I've been kitting it up myself. I'm doing an abbreviated version of this. So my version will look like this. I'm just doing 9 blocks instead of 12 blocks because it's much more manageable for me, and I should be able to display it in my craft room when I'm finished. So I have finished these blocks and this block. So I'm working on this block currently. And it's been so long since I worked on this that the adhesive for the wool onto the cotton was actually starting to lift off. So this is what I have completed. And this is 2 Saturdays. So I have 2 hours every Saturday now that I can work on this. And so that's what I do. Yeah, just keep plugging away, but at least, you know, like Huckran Hollow, at least a little bit of progress is progress. And looking forward to getting that completed because there's a lot of work still to do with this quilt. I mean, I have to finish the blocks. I'm really not looking forward to doing those, but I will. And then I still have to sew the border, which is cotton. This isn't wool, but I'll still have to piece that and put everything together. So there's a long ways to go for this guy, but it'll be beautiful when it's finished. Will be okay, quilting. So last time we chatted, I was working on this quilt. I believe it's called Autumn is Calling, and the designer is Wendy Shepherd. I don't remember the issue of the magazine. I think it was Quilter's World, but I did mention it in my last video. So I got that put together, all of the leaves. It goes together super quick, and I think I mentioned that in my last video as well. Super quick. The blocks are, I don't know, they're either 16 or 18 inches. And the quilt, the finished quilt, is 90 by 90. So I added an extra wide border on there. I think I had purchased maybe 1.5 meters of that border fabric. And I wanted to make sure that I, used as much of it as I could, and I tell you, I literally had 3 inches left of fabric, so did a good job making the most of those dollars. But this is it. So I put this on, I'll tape it down a little bit. There you go. So that's on our bed right now. I love it. I love the colors. That fabric line is called Slow Stroll. And I had purchased a fat quarter bundle of that a couple of years ago. And so that is what I used for the quilt. And I love it. It's beautiful. I didn't quilt it. It's, like I said, it's 90 by 90. My friend Adele has a long arm. And I took it to her place, so she wanted some practice because she's still kind of new to it. And she did a beautiful job. So it's just like a swirly pattern on there. Yeah, she did an excellent job. She had me take the controls for a little bit, and you can see, well, you can't see, but I can see on the big red leaf, some of the swirls are not so graceful, and that's my input to the quilting of that one. So it was nice to get that done because that's a big project, and that was, I wanted to finish it in the season, you know, not 1st of December and then just put it away for a year. So I have some half square triangles left over. So you can see where the stems were. I would have had some triangles of the fabric left over. So I just made those into half square triangles, half square triangle blocks. And I'm going to sew these together and just make a matching cushion for my bed. And then I wanted to stitch Halloween. So I have a fabric panel. It's from Deb Strain is the designer. It's called Ghostly Greetings. It came out a couple of years ago. So I had the panel, and I wanted to add to it to make it bigger, but I didn't want a whole quilt. So I made just a wall hanging. So I added a border. And I pieced it with a jelly roll. So this is, I'm gonna stand on my tippy toes. Yeah, so this is that's the panel. The panel came in black and it came in tan. I just loved it. I thought it was so, I don't know. I love vintage Halloween. And then, so I bought that at my local quilt store at the time. And then a couple months later, they were having a sale, and the jelly roll, the Ghostly Greetings jelly roll, was on sale. So I purchased that, and that's pretty much what decided what my border would be, which fabric. So I did this, I don't know, I think it's called a braid. Maybe train tracks or something. So I did the wide on the sides, and then I just did a small one at the top. And where I got the inspiration for that, okay, so this book, Start with Strips, Susan Aki. This quilt, I really, really liked that. I thought that was nice. But I thought if I could do that with the Halloween fabrics, but just extend it down. So I really lucked out in the math in that the number of blocks that I used was pretty much, you know, perfect for the length of the panel. So the bottom was a little bit tricky. I had to do a little bit of like stretching and pulling, and then also squishing together in some parts to get the bottom to match up with the sides, but I think it worked. You know, unless you're just standing there examining it, you're not going to notice. So that's the inspiration for there. And then I just did free motion quilting myself on there, and I just did it in black. I mean, it's even difficult to see the quilting, but that doesn't matter because it just needed to be quilted. And then the back, I just pieced together some Halloween, leftover Halloween fabrics and some black fabric. But yeah, so I'm very pleased with this. I'm going to hang this up in my entranceway. So love it. Then with the leftover jelly roll strips, or some of the leftover jelly roll strips, I wanted to make this project, the Boo Pillow Sham, Jen Daly Quilts. I believe I probably got this off Etsy. If I didn't get it off Etsy and she has a store of her own, a website, that's where I would have got it. So I'm almost finished this. I've put the binding on and I just need to tack the binding down. But this is the finished version, and I love it. I think it's so sweet. So this will go, I have a chair in my entranceway, so this is going to sit on the chair. It was a very well written pattern. The only thing I will say is that for the binding, it said all you need is one 42-inch strip of fabric, like a 2.5 by 42-inch fabric, and it's not enough. So I had to use 2. And thankfully I had 2 matching ones from the Jelly Roll left over. So I quilted it. I just did a crosshatch quilt, and you can still see some of my chalk lines on there. So I had to brush those out. But I quilted the front and the 2 pieces in the back. Well, you can't see that, but they're quilted as well. And then I'll just slip a pillow inside. And tonight I'll tack the binding down. But I thought that was really sweet. Love it. And then I just pieced together, I had extra strip sets, so I just pieced this together, and I want to make a new project bag for my Halloween at Hawkhorn Hollow, something that's more kind of vintage looking. So I just pieced these squares together, and then I'll do the backing and the rest of the bag. Well, hopefully soon. Yeah, that's it for completed. So next up, I have started just a wall hanging, and it's kind of fall-ish theme just for the colors. But this is from Primrose Cottage Quilts. It's called Evermore. It's a topper. It's 33 by 33 inches. So I've started to cut this out, and I'm using a charm pack called Meadowmere. And the colors, these are the colors. So there's greens and there's a lot of metallics in here. So greens and golds, the corals. Look at those sweet little mushrooms. There's black in here. I don't know if I'm using any black in my wall hanging, but these are the colors that it will be. And so the center star will be this fabric and some other green fabric. And that's on the docket for that. So I have a bunch of things I want to start. Like, I just want to start everything, but I'm really trying not to because I just have to contain things a little bit. So I'm going to work on this one. I'm going to finish it, and then I can start something else. I'm going to a retreat next month. Yeah, in about a month's time, exactly. So I'm kind of making plans for that. So I just want to do small projects until I go to the retreat. And at the retreat, I think I'm going to start a Christmas quilt or a Christmas throw quilt. So yeah, we just need to like tone it down a little bit until then. So that's it for all of my projects. So thank you again for coming by. I know this is longer than I like to make them, but I had a lot to talk about this time. So my next little section is I need some quilty help. So if you stick around for that and you could give me some input, I would super appreciate it. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you soon. I'm not sure when. I'm not making any promises because whenever I do, I never follow through. So anyway, if that's all you're here for, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Okay, quilty help. I need quilty help. If you've been watching any length of time, you know I'm working on this quilt, Stained Glass Garden. I have pretty much all of the blocks done. I'm doing an abbreviated form though, so I'm doing mine like this, which means I'm cutting off the side border. I'm just doing the little tiny bit on the side. I am doing the top. I decided I would do the top. So right now I have most of the things. No, I'm still working on the top. My issue is for when I'm completed. I still have no idea how to quilt this thing. My first thought was just to do an all over edge to edge, you know, not even a swirl pattern, and I mean the very loosest of loose curlicues, because this will not be going on a bed. This will not be put in the washing machine ever, so I don't have to worry about the quilting lines being close together. The only thing is, all of the motifs and everything, I used fusible web. I didn't use, what's that expensive one? That's better. I can't remember, it's soft fuse. I can't remember what it's called. So I just used the stuff in the roll that you can buy. Not Wonder Under, it's something else. Heat and Bond. Yes, I used Heat and Bond. So the thing about Heat and Bond, and I used the Heat and Bond regular, not the Ultra, is it's fairly stiff. And that's the other reason I can't put it in the wash, because it kind of bubbles up after. So with all of the stiffness there, if you're quilting, the hole that the needle makes will leave a mark. So if I make a mistake and I have to pull stitches out, if I don't go exactly back over that stitching line, you'll see the holes. So you think, okay, it's just, you know, one of those things. I could take it to somebody to do an all-over quilting, and I have Teflon needles. Apparently that's good for puncturing through like layers of fabric, so I could give them to the long armor or the quilter. The only thing is, I'm just wondering if the quilting, the stitching lines will really take away from the motifs. For instance, some of them, the motif covers most of the fabric, like this one. So I'm not sure. Anywhere you see the background light blue, that's just fabric. There's no fusible web behind that. It's only behind anything I've stuck down. And I feel like I had to stick it down because to put it down and then to sew all this on there would just be too much shifting. And that's what I found the first time I did one of these blocks. But okay, so I could still potentially quilt it all over, edge to edge quilting, a loose meandering stitch. Or I was thinking, what if I just did a free motion on the background and left this here? Because like I said, it's not, I don't have to worry about it shifting or anything. I mean, this is bigger than 4 inches because it's not going to be on a bed. I just don't know if that would look silly. I don't know if any of you have had any experience with this, and this is why I'm asking, because I still have no clue. So I was thinking the other night that, well, if I just stitched the blue, just like a little stipple in the blue, I could actually do this like a quilt as you go. So I could just cut squares of batting this size and backing, and then I could free motion quilt that on my machine, and it would be really easy to do, and I'd have much more control. But the only thing about doing that is on the blocks like this is there would be hardly any quilting. So I just don't know, and I would love your input if any of you have any experience with this, or if you've seen any of these quilts, or you have friends that have made any of these quilts. I will just take any comments about it, because I just like, I want to get this quilt finished, but it's the actual, the idea of quilting it that's really just like hanging me up on this project. Which is too bad because it's very beautiful, and I just want it off of, it's just sitting on my chair like behind me. It's just been there for months and months. So I'd like to get it finished. So if you have any help in that regard, I would so appreciate it. Or if you have friends you can ask, I would really, really appreciate it. And that's it. I'm done talking for the day. So thank you again for joining me. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I hope you have a lovely time crafting and doing all the things you love in this beautiful season. I'm going to go have a cozy cup of tea and a pumpkin brownie, I think. Enjoy the season myself. So thank you so much, and I will see you again.